What is going on, guys? It is Guns Games as always, and today in the Destiny 2 beta we are talking weapons. And I actually need to switch characters for this. So I've been playing the Destiny 2 beta. I really enjoy it. However, I do have some concerns regarding weapons. Now, they have said that damage statistics currently in the game are not correct. They will be correct on the fully patched version of the game. But there are some values that are out of place right now. So some of the things I talk about and complain are definitely subject to change. But in general, a lot of my concerns are still going to be moving forward. So with the weapon system now, this is different from Destiny 1. In Destiny 2, we have basically the same format, but different names, and weapons go into different categories now. So we have kinetic weapons, energy weapons, and power weapons. Now, kinetic weapons consist of things like pulse rifles, hand cannons, submachine guns, auto rifles, scout rifles, sidearms, and that's all that I've seen in the energy weapon and kinetic weapon slots. So 6 types of weapons. I do hope there's more, and I hope they mix it up. 6 or 7, I'm not counting. I hope that there is more, and I hope there are exotic outliers like there are Universal Remote or No Land Beyond, that mix it up, because all of the power weapons now consist of things like shotguns, sniper rifles, fusion rifles. There's also new linear fusion rifles, which we'll talk about in a second. Then you also have things like your grenade launchers, your rocket launchers, your light machine guns, so on and so forth in there. So they've basically lumped up all the power weapons into one category. Now, there is one good thing about this, and that is, it allows things like shotguns and sniper rifles to feel properly powerful. The Retrofuturist is the one, I think there might be another shotgun, but I haven't got it yet. If there is, it's the one shotgun in the beta that I've been playing with that I really enjoy, and it's really good. It's a fantastic shotgun, and its range stat's not even maxed out. Guarantee you there's going to be shotguns where we can max out their range stat with high impact. It's a super fun shotgun. It's got a really high rate of fire. You can literally just bang with this thing. It's crazy fun. And it feels really good. It feels overpowered as a shotgun compared to Destiny 1. But because it's in the power category, you get very limited ammo for it. So you're going to be killing people with this thing, guaranteed, if you get up close. It's so hard to lose with this. And I've got so many good flanks and so many great pieces and videos that's just, wow, this shotgun's amazing. Sniper rifles feel a little bit watered down, actually, and they're so big they don't fully fit on screen. They feel watered down. From Destiny 1, you cannot do any of the ambush scope, quick scoping, headshot sniping. They are sniper rifles. They're pretty much only good at long range. Not even medium range are they kinda good. Pretty much only long range. Now they do still one shot, obviously, but they do feel a little bit watered down. Now I like the power tree. I like how they lumped everything into here. I do hope that there are some outliers, that we do see some shotguns, maybe some sniper rifles, some lighter versions, or some, you know, semi-automatic versions, fast fire rate, multiple hits in the kinetic and energy weapon trees. Just for variety's sake, honestly, because this means that the meta is going to be built around the energy and the kinetic weapons, and their offering's a little bit boring. Now, we're going to ignore Sweet Business for a second, because this is an exotic. I'm going to talk about exotics in a later video, and what I think of the 3 exotics in the beta. We'll also go over armor later on. But what it seems like right now is that hand cannons need buffed in the range and accuracy department. Submachine guns need to be more powerful, because they are no better than an auto rifle. If you had the choice between an auto rifle and a submachine gun, you're going to take the auto rifle, because submachine guns have really severe damage fall off compared to auto rifles, and do roughly the same amount of damage. So I don't really see any reason for submachine guns to exist. They need to do more damage up close, but still have that severe damage drop off. So they're not really good at range, but up close you could just tear somebody apart. They really need to differentiate better between auto rifles and submachine guns. Here's a really good example of this. The Deathstalker A4U, an assault rifle or an auto rifle, and the Phosphorus MG4. The Phosphorus is the submachine gun, the Deathstalker is the auto rifle. It has better impact. It actually has less range than this submachine gun, but the damage fall off is more severe on the Phosphorus MG in terms of losing actual damage numbers. It has better stability, less handling, better reload, less rounds per minute, bigger magazine. There's no reason to take the Phosphorus MG over the Deathstalker. There really isn't. I've not found a good reason to do so. So yeah, they need to differentiate auto rifles and submachine guns. They just, like, that's something that needs to be done, or they're just going to blend together and it's going to feel like a really useless class extension. Again, hand cannons need buffed. Scout rifles need buffed. Kind of severely, I think. Now, this is the faster firing one. This one does 260 rounds per minute. And we can't really compare this one to the other one. Well, we sort of can. So, this is the Black Scorpion, this is the Does Not Compute. The Does Not Compute has much higher damage, but lower fire rate, lower magazine. And the Black Scorpion has lower range, lower impact, better stability, worse handling, and about the same reload speed. But it does 260 rounds per minute. And you can fire this thing in full auto, so you just hold the trigger down and it's pew. But the Scout rifles lose out pretty badly to pretty much all the Pulse rifles. So it says that it does more impact per shot, but remember, Pulse rifles fire in threes. So if you take 3 of the Nightshade's impacts, stack them together, it then beats out the Does Not Compute. And it takes about the same amount of time to fire once from the Nightshade than it does from the Does Not Compute. So the Nightshade, the Pulse Rifle, beats it on damage pretty severely. It says the Does Not Compute has more range, but it doesn't feel like it. It does feel like there's a damage fall-off point for the Scout Rifle. And in my honest opinion, Pulse Rifles and Scout Rifles shouldn't really have damage fall-off. They're made to be long-distance primaries. So damage fall off, you know, you'd run a Scout Rifle and a or a Pulse Rifle and a sidearm, ideally, because you'd have long range and short range covered pretty well there, only really having to worry about a medium range, where sometimes a Scout Rifle or a Pulse Rifle could still fit the bill. You're more than likely going to lose to auto rifles though. Scout Rifles have this, they just don't work. They need a lot of refinement. They have a weird bell curve in terms of damage. So they have this point at which they do maximum damage, and then obviously they have fall off damage after that. But before that, they also have reverse fall off damage. The closer they get, it seems like there's less damage that they do, and that's really weird. I don't know why it's like that. That's a really kind of dumb decision, in my opinion. The Nurgle, really good. The Nurgle is actually probably one of the best weapons in the game currently, in this beta. Hands down, just beats everything to a pulp. Now, Pulse Rifles do seem to be the dominant weapon currently in PvP. I don't think that this means Pulse Rifles need to be nerfed, though. I think this means other things need to be buffed. I think there needs to be a bigger differentiation between submachine guns and auto rifles. Auto rifles need to have slightly less fall-off damage and more base damage. Or better stability, something, or better accuracy, you know, so something in there to make them feel good, because they currently feel a little bit all over the place. And hand cannons, they need a buff somewhere, man. The Minute 42 is pretty decent, but the Better Devils has explosive rounds, but man, I have a tough time winning short to medium range fight with this thing, and long range fights, you're gonna go up against a Nightshade and you're gonna lose. So my biggest concern really right now with the way it is that this is all really kind of mundane. Like it all kinds of blends together between the kinetic and the energy weapons, and it doesn't really seem like there's a reason to have them separated like this at all. Other than elemental damage, and it doesn't seem like there's enough variety in it to support all that differentiation that it currently has either. So I hope it's hard to judge, because again, we're talking about the beta here that only has 20 weapons in it in total. The differentiation's not here because we're dealing with 20 weapons in-game. We're probably going to be dealing with 100 plus weapons. Hopefully, somewhere around there. So it's hard to judge the differentiation on a small selection of the weapons when we're not even seeing, you know, a fourth or a fifth of them. Hopefully, when the full game comes out, a lot of these things will be eased about in terms of my concerns about the game. Now, aside from what I think about the kinetic and energy changes to the weapon system, what about weapon mods in general? Well, weapon mods are something that was confirmed, obviously, when it came out. There are 3 types of weapon mods, and it's not really even weapon mods. One is Infusion, which every single one of them has, so the Infusion system is back, of course, great. The other is Shader. Some of them do have a shader, some of them don't have a shader. But that means you can change the color of your gun, which I think is awesome. Lastly, Void Damage mod, and it says equip this to a weapon to charge its rounds with void energy. Now this is interesting, and I think this adds depth and may solve a lot of my complaints when we get to see the full complexity of the system if it's just not elemental damage changes. So obviously I think we're going to be able to change the elemental damage each weapon can do to make it what we would prefer it to be, but I think there's things they could do with this Void Damage mod to change how they act all together. They could take a kinetic weapon and make it energy, or an energy and make it kinetic, and change the properties of the weapon. There's a lot of things they could do with this weapon mod slot here. It could be really interesting if they use this correctly, and it could solve a lot of my complaints, adding to that depth of the in-game if it's not just elemental damage. And I hope it's not just elemental damage. I think that would be really, really wasting it. But overall, that's looking really good. They're addressing some concerns. They're allowing things like sniper rifles and shotguns to be overpowered, but it's kind of like a lump sum of how they want to do this. It's like, well, why don't we just categorize them instead of trying to effectively balance them? We'll just categorize them and make them overpowered, which is nice, but I don't know. I think it's a good step in the right direction, and it's not the final version of the game. They're already getting lots of feedback. I'm sure they'll capitalize on this and within these next 2 months and help balance it out, and in the end it'll look a lot better for us overall playing the game. Now, that's going to do it for this video. I will have a video coming out that's going to compare all 3 of the exotics, Sweet Business, Sunspot, and I forget the name of the Warlock one, surprisingly, but it's my favorite. And we'll talk about these and what I think about them. Spoiler, they're not very good. Anyway, guys, I am Guns. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys for watching. More Destiny content coming from the Destiny 2 beta soon. GG, everybody.